What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dom and Pop DC Sports Talk Plus podcast. It's a winning streak, baby. 2 games, that's a streak. We just beat Green Bay. We're going to break it all down for you. Let's not waste any time. Let's just get right to it. Pop, what a win. Boys did it. How you feeling? Dub. All that's left to be
Great
said,
win.
right?
Great win.
Can't complain, really. I mean, well, you can, and we probably will. But great win, all in all. Gritty win. I mean, to have your backup quarterback come in, put a spanking on Aaron Rodgers like that, always feels good. Defense played pretty well. Offense looked effective at times. Can't complain overall. I mean, I feel
No.
pretty good, I gotta say.
I agree. It's a classic end to the game for the Commanders.
Yeah.
Like your grandpop said, we're going to suffer as they were tossing that ball around at the end there.
When that ball got to Rodgers and he was like down on the 20 or something like that, I said, "Oh Lord." So we're gonna lose.
Yeah, my lovely wife was by my side, just saying, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." But
Oh,
no, I
man.
mean we did a good job on that last drive. Taking the clock all the way down, moving the chains a little bit. A little unfortunate that some of the breaks there, but I thought we stayed aggressive enough, and just a great win overall. We'll break it down, but got to be happy with that, and we're still in it. 3 and
Yeah,
4 feels pretty good, all things considered.
yeah. I mean, considering where this team was sitting after that Tennessee loss, just that gutting interception for the final play of the game, and then you're looking at, okay, now we're gonna go play this terrible Bears team on Thursday Night Football. That looks like almost like a trap game, almost. And then we got a pretty tough stretch of 4 games coming up. And all of a sudden now we're 1 game behind 500, and maybe we're headed to another somewhat meaningless 7-10 season. Maybe we're putting something together, but either way, it feels good to get a win today. That's really what matters, and I think that's what we're going to spend our time on today, is just the win in general. Pop, if you want to cover the press conference a little bit. I didn't really get the chance to check in too much on it getting set up, but if you anything that stuck out that you want to outline there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ron was obviously happy. I think it was probably one of the happiest we've seen him in a press conference because the other 2 wins were, there were probably more things to be upset about after those 2 wins. I think this was definitely the best game we played,
Yeah.
all season. I think safe to say that. He said defense was really good at limiting explosive plays and really good against the run. I would have liked to see them get home on Rodgers. I don't think they had 1 sack, but maybe that's part of Aaron Rodgers' genius.
Yeah.
Just in general, and we can talk to this a bit. 38 runs for 166 yards. I think the time of possession was terrific, especially in the second half.
Yep.
Talked a little bit about, Taylor was pretty rough in the first half, much better in the second half. We can get into that a little bit, but he just said that they noticed that his throws were late and that he needed to kind of settle in and be more confident and, get his throws out on time.
Yeah.
He felt that defense and special teams were a big reason for the win. Commenting specifically on Taylor, his ability to escape and improvise, give him some advantages. They asked him about, still being so behind in the NFC East. So, classic reporter question after a win like that. Well, you're
Who cares
still
right now?
way behind. He said, look, we got to play games one at a time.
Yep.
Get that next phase. Obviously, I mean, from a wild card perspective, we're still right there, right? So, got to feel good about that. Talked about tight end injuries, that needing to get the guys back. Cole Turner went down today. They asked about Chase. So, Chase Young, we can get more into that in our pregame pod this week, but said the update was positive. Starting to get that sense that Chase might be back sooner than later. It might be practicing this week, but we'll see. He said they'll have an update. And then I think a cool nugget, especially for Pop being old school, given that it was alumni weekend, the posse, Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders, and Art Monk gave a
Yep.
talk to the team. And he said how great that was for the team and talked about the leadership. And maybe it wasn't an accident that Terry put this team on his back and
Man,
carried us to victory today. He was just amazing.
that's our boy Terry. And I had to wear the throwback from probably the last good receiver this team had before Terry, the Pierre Garçon jersey. We remember he probably had a couple games like that. And man, Terry just, there's something about Terry and Taylor. There's some kind of connection there. When he caught that deep ball on the first
Yeah, that
bomb that
was
he
a great
caught,
play.
I was just like, how many times did we see that last year? Like, there's just something about these two. I think it's more Taylor than it is Terry. He just is always looking for him. Like he knows in his head that he's the best player on that offense, and when in doubt, just chuck the ball up to Terry. And
Yeah,
so as
he
a
did a
result,
couple of he chucked
which
a few.
he
That was
chucks a
for sure.
few for sure.
He
And
chucked a
sometimes
few.
it burns us real bad when the defense gets a read on it. But um, Terry able to capitalize and just be so open, anticipate when the ball is coming and make the break at the right time. Like just he's a phenomenal player, man. I nothing but good things to say about Terry McLaurin. You know, yeah, the defensive line didn't get home, but Rodgers didn't have a lot of time to be comfortable in the pocket either. And I think the biggest reason we're kind of seeing a turnaround in play is that defensive front is really starting to scare people. And
Yeah,
it's changing the way teams are game planning for us. You're seeing they can't run on the inside at all. All the runs have to go outside the tackles. So that's really limiting a lot of options against
I think
us.
I
And
saw that Sweat. I don't know how it'll end up after this game. Was second in the entire league in quarterback pressures, and
yeah,
I think the great thing about that D line, and that's a great observation, by the way, is it's not just the top three guys are arguably, very good to great,
yeah,
in terms of their performance. But then the depth, the
yeah.
way that the Abada's playing and Tuhill and Williams, and they're just getting a lot of great play from their
Yep.
players, and they're going to that 5-man front a lot. So I think that's a great observation.
And
Yeah,
hey, credit where credit is due. Fa Obata kind of was a punchline at one point, where a
right.
lot of people talking about, oh, Ron's just bringing in old Panthers, Commanders talk. These guys aren't really doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, do you want to say that it shouldn't take 7 games for these kinds of things to be worked out? We have a valid conversation there, but they're really starting to show, and the rotations are really starting to work out nicely. You make points about losing guys like Tim Settle, and you have other guys like Smith Williams and Fa Obata stepping up, filling in those gaps. It's really great to see. And I think that has been, for me, the number one thing that has changed the play of this team is the way that defensive front is played and given us the confidence in that the defense is going to get the stops. And it's not just for one quarter and then their back breaks. They're actually able to get stops for the entirety of the game in some of those less meaningful situations. 8 minutes left in the second quarter, they get a stop. 4 minutes left in the third quarter, they get a stop. In some of those weird moments, they're just making stops, forcing punts. So
Agree.
that's great to see. And I think also the other headline from today that, Christ, I hope it's on film now and these guys can see it and believe it. We're playing complementary football. We're running the football. We are running the football and we're running it so well. I mean, we are like the Antonio Gibson fan club at this point in our text thread,
Yeah,
me and you. And I've always been pretty high on the kid. I switched to Robinson. I think we all Ashburned ourselves into Brian Robinson after one good preseason game against the second unit of the worst football team in the NFL. And we all convinced ourselves that this kid is the next Emmitt Smith.
yeah. Can I inject something here? Like
Go
I'll
ahead.
say this. I think it's a great point, but I don't want us to be down on B Rob
Mm-mm,
because I love
mm-mm.
B Rob. My
I
thing is
agree
this:
100%. I don't mean it that way.
I think AG should be the starter and be the prime back, and B Rob should be the change of pace guy. I think they have it backwards.
I
I
agree.
think AG, we've got look. It's one great thing to feel about this team. You can make the argument between AG, certainly Terry, you got to rank number one, and Curtis. But AG's right there with those two guys as far as being our most dynamic weapon.
Yeah.
Look at the touchdown catch. Look at that catch, right? So to me, he needs to be the prime back. B Rob should be the change of pace guy, but who cares really? As long as they could continue to use those two guys like they did today. I mean, we talked about 38 carries, 166 yards. It's fantastic.
I mean, I think personally, between Robinson, Gibson, and Curtis Samuel, there should be 35 carries a game. This team should be running the football because there is not between those three players, there is not one run play you can't call between the three
Yep.
of them. So it's at that point it's just about situational awareness. So are any one of them on their own Hall of Fame level running back talent like you might see in a Joe Mixon or a Jonathan Taylor? No. But as a unit, there's nothing that all three of them can't do when you put them together.
I don't
So
know.
we should place emphasis on running the
I wouldn't
football.
limit the talent there. I mean,
I agree too.
there's
I
some
mean,
talent there.
there's a lot of talent
Yeah.
there, and I think
Yeah.
AG. I mean, I've said it to you. I think if he ended up on another team coming out of college, we might be talking about one of the best backs in the league. He's got to get utilized more on this team. I
I
think
mean,
he's
B
so
Rob
talented.
is definitely a tough runner. He can definitely convert those short yard downs,
Yeah.
but you just don't see him creating a lot of separation in his runs.
Hey,
Whereas you just see that explosive
yeah,
capability with AG, right? And I think that again, I would tilt the scales a little heavier towards AG side if it's me, but that combination, does look really good.
yeah, and that's what I was about to say. Is like, hey, like great draft pick by Rivera and company, like going and picking up the sure-handed runner in the situations you see. He gets the ball a lot at the end of the games because they're still worried about Gibson fumbling. Even though, I mean, knock on wood, he hasn't had one yet this year.
Yeah.
But he's a really great complementary piece to what Antonio Gibson should be as the lead rusher on this team, and it's a perfect fit.
I think, we're starting to see an indication of like, and that's why I think at times, and not that we're going to get into it, the trivializing this down to the quarterback is a little bit too easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think the offense in general started to find a personality in the second half of the Bears game.
Yeah,
And I think one of the things that tripped this team up was B Rob getting hurt the way he got hurt because they had convinced themselves that AG is not a runner.
yeah,
And to me, that was a mistake, right? They should have kept the personality of the offense and they should have just plugged AG in, stuck to the running game, and play action. And, they'd be much better off because look, say what you want about Taylor, and I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. Look at that second half. Go back and watch it again. Watch the highlights. Players were running wide open. They were easy throws in the second half because of what they played off the run game and because of the play calling.
yeah.
For my I still think there were too many drop back plays and too many first down drop back plays in particular. I don't know why we're not rolling them out. I'm not sure why we're not doing some of those, but we also saw some gadget plays. And overall, I give Scott Turner, a good grade today in terms of the game.
Yep.
He called. We can always nitpick things here and there, but like I said, there were just players running wide open.
Yeah.
And then going up and getting the football and making the play.
The one thing that I will say, and maybe we can tie this into the kickouts and then go right to the awards. But the one thing that I will say about Turner's game plan is what I liked. It didn't take him until the second half to adjust. After that pick
Right.
six, you could see there's a totally different approach. What I don't like is that the change in approach after the pick six felt like common sense. Let's get Taylor in short one read situations. Let's run the football heavy. How do you not come into the game with that attitude? This is your back, regardless of, he played all year last year. This is your backup quarterback. This is a guy that you have concerns about arm strength. How many throws down the field can he make? Can he make the throws outside? And you're dropping him back 7-8 steps to start the game. What are you doing? Come on.
Well, one thing I think you see from both quarterbacks, which I really like, is the grit.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
love that.
Bad. Look, he couldn't have played a worse first half.
Yeah.
It was awful. But, he doesn't let it get him down. He keeps fighting. And I think, the adjustments the coaches made and even the conversation they had with him of like, look, you're rushing things, settle in, take what's there. I think obviously it made a big difference because as bad as that first half was, the second half was that good.
Yep.
Right. And you know. But no, it's excellent. And I think also like one thing we're seeing this year, to give credit where credit's due, I do think the start of the season in terms of the way the defense played and the way we played offensively inconsistently and the game planning was not good,
Yeah.
right? But I think what we're seeing this year is that the adjustments are being made much earlier, and now we're starting that run, and you're starting to see the team figure out and have a personality. Because really, in that first half, defense and special teams kept us in the game.
Yeah.
Right? They kept us in the game. That game could have gone really ugly and really bad, and we stayed in it. We stayed in it. They made the offensive adjustments, and that was good to see. And next week we got another very winnable game, losable game too.
Yeah.
But another winnable game in Indy, and all of a sudden, you're looking at this 4-game stretch, and I was actually thinking about that this morning. This 4-game stretch of, the Green Bay, Indy. Who are the other two now? Help me, son. I know it's Philly's in there.
It's Green Bay, Indy, Minnesota, and then Philly on Monday night.
All of a sudden, you look at that. We could get 3 out of those 4 and end up 5-5. We'd be sitting pretty, and I think that's really doable because I think as tough as Philly's going to be to beat in Philly, I think that Indy and I think the Vikings are winnable games, right? So tough games, but winnable.
I mean, Indy, I think.
And anyway, like I agree with Ron. Let's take them one at a time. But I think they've put themselves in a much better position going through the rest of the season.
I agree. I mean, a win is always good. I think Indy is definitely winnable. I think you're on an island with your optimism about that Minnesota game, at least from this podcast. But that's cool.
You oversized Minnesota
5-1. But anyways, let's.
They're not a dominant 5-1 though. They've won a lot of in their credit. Amen. They're 5-1. You are what your record is. But they've played some mediocre teams pretty close. So I didn't say I would favor us to win. I wouldn't favor us to win any of these next 3 games. I'm just going to go on record. Fair. But I think that those 2 games are games we can win, especially Minnesota at home. And I think if we get pressure and get to Kirk, we've shown that pressure can bother him, and that's going to be the key to that one. Hey, so, but anyway,
we got all
not on to Cincinnati. We're not on to Cincinnati. We're going to continue to celebrate this win.
Yes,
right?
We got all the time in the world to break down what's going into that Indy game and the Minnesota game and the Green Bay or the one Green Bay, the Philly game, all that. Let's get into our awards for today. So, what do you want to do first, Pop? You want to do the good stuff or the bad stuff? Your pick.
Definitely the good stuff.
Good stuff first.
There's not much bad.
Dessert first. All right. So
we'll just whisper the cazz of the game today.
Yeah. Sauce award. Can't believe it took 7 weeks. Terry McLaurin. What more do you have to say? Sauce award. Terry McLaurin. Please God. Scott Turner. Taylor Heineke. Whoever in the world. Carson Wentz. Sam Howell. Whoever. Mark Brunell. Whoever. Get the ball to Taylor Heineke more. Please look at this film and go, this guy won us the game today. Sorry, excuse me, to Terry McLaurin more. This guy won us the game today. Focus on that. Nothing more to be said there. Sauce award, Terry McLaurin for sure. Helmet stickers, in my opinion, a very close runner-up for the Sauce award. I think if some of those clutch Terry catches at the end go to Curtis Samuel, maybe you give Antonio Gibson the Sauce award. I think he was phenomenal today. Helmet sticker. For sure. Helmet sticker and a half. It's a strong helmet sticker.
Absolutely.
Next one was my pick. My boy Percy Butler. Favorite draft pick out of that lot. It's phenomenal on special teams. I mean, he's the first guy back there every single play. He had the recovered fumble. He had the down ball within the 1, which ended up being 2 really big plays. And when you look at a game that you won by 2 points, it's a game of inches. And those things really, really, really matter. 2 things that had they gone differently, you could be looking at a totally different outcome here. So Percy Butler there. And, of course, last helmet sticker, got to give it to Taylor Heineke. Your backup quarterback comes in and beats Aaron Rodgers. He gets an award. That's just kind of how that works. Pop,
yeah, just some comments. Obviously, we agreed to these before the show in our pre-production.
Yeah, meeting. I'm trying to rattle through them quickly.
Very good. But Yeah, I think Terry, not only just the way he played, which was amazing, and he went up and got balls that, let's just face it, weren't the greatest throws in the world, but he went and battled and got them. But also his leadership. You just saw him, and there was some talk of what he was saying on the sidelines, and he was jawing back to the Packers. I think the Packers were talking a lot today because you saw a lot of our receivers jawing back at them,
Yeah.
which was interesting. Yeah, but the other thing I would say is I love your pick of Percy Butler. It, there are other guys that for the first time, we've usually been scratching to get to 4 awards. I mean, you could easily given one to Curtis Samuel. You could have easily given one to Brian Robinson. You could have easily, I'm sure there's guys on the defense that we're overlooking. I mean, Cole Holcomb, again, leads a team in tackles,
Holcomb
right?
was
And
great.
there's one thing I want to mention, I wanted to interject earlier about the defense, right? I agree with you 100%. Defensive line is the catalyst, but we're also settling in, right? You're seeing much better play from Holcomb. Um, you're seeing the guys in the secondary play better. I mean, I think it's across the board.
Yeah.
We're seeing a much better performance from the defense, but I think the defensive line is definitely the catalyst there.
Yep.
And no, but that's it. I think it's real good on the award side.
Yeah, I mean, you could give an award to Montez Sweat. You give an award to Benny St. Juice. You could give an award to Cole Holcomb. St. Juice for me has been the most improved player
He's
this
playing
season.
really
He
well,
is a beast.
and that's what I'm saying. And Cameron Curl seems to be doing it quietly,
Yeah.
but he's always got a great rating after the games. I think there's more to it. I think across the board, you're seeing guys play better, which is
Well,
great.
they said it. The announcer said it several times. You've got we're getting pressure with 4 or 5 guys, and then you end up with 7 or 6 guys back in coverage, and they're doing their jobs. At the end of the day, that was the
Right.
problem at the beginning of the season. Was not necessarily that we weren't getting home. The problem was the guys in the secondary were just letting guys run free. And
if you look, it's pretty spread out, right? I mean, Holcomb with 9 tackles, Curl with 7, Forrest with 5, even Jamin Davis with 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Right?
yeah,
He's playing much better.
Jamin's been
I mean,
good.
it's really spread out, and again, I mean, if I was going to nitpick, it'd just be getting to the quarterback. We only had 1 quarterback hit the entire game. I didn't love that, but maybe it was part of the scheme, right? They seemed to be rushing for the most part, and I think one of your keys was just keep Rodgers contained and in the pocket, and they
Yeah.
seem to do that pretty well.
Yeah, I think we all
Yeah.
owe Jamin Davis a big apology. Not this podcast because we defended him and we said he's not to blame, but I think the rest of the Commanders fan base owes him a little bit of an apology because he's definitely kind of.
I mean, he was probably overdrafted, but I think he's starting to contribute, and they're finding his spot. And hey, if he could be a solid starter and contributor, the kid has a lot of talent. You could definitely see him climb. And he's shown a tremendous amount of mental toughness.
Yeah,
probably what he went through would have cracked a lot of guys, and hopefully he just continues to grow and get better.
Yep. So yeah, all good things there. One interesting thing: the NFL trade deadline is coming up, so let's see what happens with Will Jackson. There was a little bit of talk. Maybe he goes, maybe he stays. He kind of like requested a trade and then retracted his statement, which sounds like nobody wanted to trade for him, and he was kind of like, I guess I'll stay here and collect my check.
Do you think he cracks the lineup at this point? I mean,
am I coaching or is Ron Rivera coaching? Because he's going to get back.
You're coaching.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. About that. I'm not sure.
He would never. He would be a healthy scratch for the rest of the year on my team.
I mean, have you heard Ron answer the questions about him?
Ron's that too,
and even Del Rio there. Yeah, I don't think he gets back on the field unless there's an injury.
If he's the sacrificial lamb to get this defense moving, arrivederci.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to play the guys that are earning it.
Yep.
I mean, it's just what you got to do. It doesn't matter how much you're paying them. I really don't care about any of that.
I agree.
I mean, as much as I, think some of the Wentz takes are unfair, if Taylor takes us on a 4 or 5 game winning streak, he's got to keep playing.
That's interesting,
or
right?
even if he wins 3 or 4 or 4 or 5, right? I mean, he's got to keep playing. So you got to earn it on the field.
And that is why we said coming into the Green Bay game, it's kind of pointless to project because let's be real, we didn't love our chances this weekend, but we pull out a win.
No.
We got Indy next week, which looks winnable. Let's see what we can do over there. And you know what? We'll project when we get there, but no sense in projecting for
What
right
I
now.
like about today, despite especially if you get past the rough start, we were the better team today.
By far.
And I don't know how that might be the first time we can say that
Yep.
definitively this year. And that's, it might have taken this long to get there, but anytime you hold Aaron Rodgers to the kind of day that we held him to, you got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, but hey, this is the DC Sports Talk Plus podcast covering the Washington Commanders. So enough of the positive talk. Let's bring it. Let's bring this thing back down to earth a little bit. Let's get into our kick out to the game. It's got to be the pick six, right?
Yeah.
That's for me for sure is the pick six.
And the almost fumble six.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Got
definitely
to protect the football better.
Definitely. Definitely for me, it's the pick six overall, just because, like I said, we can't be like, we should just be focused on, especially when he comes out and he's a little jittery and he's missing guys. We should just be focused on getting Taylor in a rhythm early, not putting him in position to F
And
up
those
like
sideline throws are not
he
his
can't make
strength.
those throws.
No.
He can't. And if you look at the route, this is what drove me a little bit nuts, was they played it in slow-mo and Cam Sims kind of makes a double move and then he cuts back this way and all three guys end up outside the numbers on the right side. If somebody cuts back up inside, they're wide open. Wide open.
Well, I don't know what they figured out in the second half because, like I said, we're going to give Taylor all the credit and he deserves it, and that's fine. Their guys are running wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, he guys are running open, and it didn't seem to be the case. In fairness to Taylor, that did not seem to be the case in the first half.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to have obvious places to go with the ball, maybe with one or two exceptions.
Yeah. So, and he also made some great, credit to him. He made a couple great throws right at Jair Alexander. And you're looking at it, that dude that dude is a good quarterback, and that's scary. And you're looking at it and you're saying, maybe we just don't throw to Terry this game. Like maybe we just let everybody else get involved. But that one touchdown pass he threw to Terry, the deep ball, the 50-plus yarder was gorgeous. Put it right where Terry could get it, nobody else. And then the cutback route that Terry had at the end that ended up being the game-sealing catch where he ends up out of bounds. The timing of that, where he placed that ball in Terry's route was well done.
That was a lot of Terry, but I mean,
it was a lot of Terry, but it was well done.
I think this game could have gone wrong really bad in the first half. But again, credit to the kid and credit to the coaches that they were able to settle him down and get a much better game out of him in the second half. I mean, reality is, right, he hasn't played at all this season. And, so we'll give him a pass on that first half. Hopefully he can carry the momentum of the second half forward. And, and again, they found the rhythm in the play calling and how he's going to make some bad throws and some mistakes.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, right? They got to win. I don't think they're going to win games because of the quarterback at this point. Either quarterback. I think they're going to win games because of the team getting the ball, spreading the ball out to their weapons, getting better protection from the offensive line, all of those things, right?
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Yeah, these are, at the end of the day, we've been debating off pod Taylor or Carson all week, of course, because what else are we going to do with our time? And it's, what I ended up saying last night is like, look, you're arguing about one guy who might be from 20 to 25 and one guy who might be from 27 to 32. Who cares? We got to have.
We're not going to talk about.
We got to have a complete football team in order for either of these guys to be successful. So exciting that we saw a complete football team today. Kick out to the game, that pick six, of course. Let's move on. Let's check in around the NFL. Do a quick bada bets check in. But what do you want to get to first, Pop? You want to do a little quick scoreboard rally?
Yeah, let me run through the scoreboard real quick. I mean,
just
we'll just
hit the
keep
10
it
a.m.
quick. Obviously,
it's just the 10 a.m. game.
Yeah, it's all in process, right? But I think the two big headlines is both NFC East teams won again. So Cowboys and Giants played a close game. Give them credit, they keep winning. So Buccaneers got spanked by the Panthers. Panthers.
It's a tough one.
I don't need to say much more about that.
That's a tough one.
That is not going well. Bengals got a big win. We're going to talk a little bit about fantasy. I am not happy. Seahawks. Now that's that game in process. Yeah, I think the only other one of note locally is the Ravens toughed out a win against the Browns.
Yeah.
But it's a good lead into the bottom. They only won by 3, so the boys are hot.
Hey, a win is a win, just like for the
That's
Commanders. Right. Even if the points save you, you know what? That's why the points are there. That's where the skill comes in. You say, hey,
that's right.
You know, and maybe I said out loud that I thought Cleveland was going to win the football game regardless of the points. But you know what I bet? I bet on the points. So that's a win. That's what that is. So Cleveland with the win. And then we had, what other game did we have, Pop? I'm blanking, and I stupidly closed my outline over here.
No, it's all good. The Cardinals over the Saints.
Yeah, of course. Cardinals over
the Cardinals
the Saints.
given 1.5, right?
How about my boy?
So we're 2-0 so far.
How about my boy, Christopher Olave, with 104 yards for my fantasy football
Olave's
team.
good.
That boy is a dog. He is. We love Dotson around here. I'm not saying this is a slight to Dotson. I think so far he's been the best rookie wide receiver in the NFL.
He's a heck of a player.
He's a great football player, and I'm not.
I'll still take our guy.
I love having Dotson on the team, and I love what we got by being able to trade back. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form anything in relation to Dotson. Just in a vacuum, Chris Olave is very good. I got him on all my fantasy teams. I love the kid. What more can I say? Speaking of that, fantasy, I'm just gonna let you loose, Pop. Just get after it. Get after
Listen,
it.
I got a
tough
bone
week
to,
for you.
I got a bone to pick with our Ravens insider. I got a bone to pick.
Tough
with this
week
kid,
for you.
Okay, this kid sends me I'm playing the Ravens insider this week in our family league. Okay, and he's gonna beat me. Why is he gonna beat me? The number one reason he's gonna beat me is his quarterback. Now, this guy is a bigger Ravens fan, or as big a Ravens fan as we are Commanders fans, right? He lives and dies by it. We could tell you a ton of stories. The kid sends me a picture of him wearing a Lamar Jackson jersey going to the game. Well, who's my fantasy quarterback? Lamar. Who's his fantasy quarterback? His rival, Joe Burrow. And you all know what happened. I mean, Burrow has a career game, and Lamar stinks up the joint. I mean,
and this,
I think it's because the Ravens emphasized the running game, killing me, and I'm gonna lose to him. I'm on a 2-game losing streak, and I'm a little salty about it.
And this is a guy that hates Cincinnati with all of his guts. I mean, complains about the Bengals every time I'm around him. Every opportunity he gets to say something about the Bengals, just deuces on him. Hey,
he beats me every time. My own wife roots against me when I play against him because she loves the kid. I mean, it just hurts.
He's a fan favorite, man. He's a fan favorite.
Killing me.
What can I
You're
say?
Killing me, Ravens insider.
What can I say? He's got the people. But tough news out of New York. Breaking news here. Breece Hall has left the game with a knee injury, will not return. So their star rookie running back. Hate to see that for the Jets. Also hate to see that for my fantasy team. That's not good.
Not good.
But yeah, I mean, tough shakeout for Pop this week. I'm in an absolute knockdown, drag out slugfest with my uncle here. Stucazzo versus Can You Digs It. I'm up 95-90 right now. But man, it's a close one.
And it's a tight game.
This is for first place. So this is a big one here. And in my other league, looks like I'm going to clutch this one out. I had to go. Listen to how ugly this is. I had to go with the Colts stack because of some bye weeks this week. So I had to have Matt Ryan at quarterback because Josh Allen is out. So thanks to Matt Ryan's Olympic stat line of 243 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, the boys should be closing this one. In my most important fantasy league, last week I said it was my trying things out league and got some negative feedback. My high stakes fantasy league here, I'm getting smoked. It's not looking too good at all for the boy. Might finish in last place in that league. Hope there's no punishment. I don't know. I might have upset the commissioner. I could be in some serious trouble in the coming weeks here. But
hey, you're 12-10 on the bottom.
12-10 on the bottom.
So you're on fire.
And
hopefully the momentum keeps going for these next 3 games.
And I'm 13-4 in fantasy this year. I mean, come on. Across 3 leagues.
Pretty good.
That's lethal.
Pretty
that
good.
Is lethal. The boy is on a tear. So I'm feeling pretty good. 12-4 on the bottom, can't complain. Obviously, the big one's coming up tonight, right? We have some games that we're different on. So these are the ones that are going to count towards the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what? Why don't we?
So it's a victory Sunday night.
It's a victory Sunday night. Tomorrow's a victory Monday. As much as I would love to sit here and break down every single play with you and argue about who the better quarterback of this football team is, let's spare the people.
You go. You want to talk about the Giants? Did you even watch the Commanders play?
I watched the whole game.
Tuned into the Giants game.
I watched the whole game. I will even watch the Commanders play. I might be the only person on earth wearing a Pierre Garçon jersey right now. Did you watch the Commanders play? Come on. But yeah,
I just thought you might just want to give us a Giants breakdown.
Giants won again. Daniel Jones ran for like 92 yards, something like that. Brian Daboll is a good football coach, no matter how much Pop wants to deny it. I hate it. I hate it. I wish we did it. I hate it. But you know what? They're good. We got them
on the schedule twice, so we got a chance.
Head to head, we're gonna see. Smack them down. I hope we beat them back.
I hope I don't see you. I hope you don't break my heart and I see you in blue that day.
You open up the pod to a blue number 8 jersey. No. God forbid. Never.
I'd cry.
Never.
I'd cry.
Never. I hope I'm so wrong those days. But
let's end it on this. Cazz Daboll.
There you go. Right. Pop's personal agenda. That is. We might have a celebrity boxing match between Pop and Brian Daboll. If we can, you know what, guys? If you want to see it, like, comment, subscribe. Celebrity boxing, Pop and Daboll. But we got to get.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
We got to get the Dom and Pop podcast up to celebrity status in order for that celebrity boxing match to happen. But hey, he's officially called him out right here. We saw it happen in broad daylight. So let's wrap this thing up. What do you say, Pop?
Yes.
All right.
Please.
Yes. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for another great week, guys.
Love me, baby. Oh.